The season ends. VGK goes down with a fight before falling to the Oilers in overtime, 1-0 last night. They are defeated 4-1, and we will have a lot of questions in this off season. Our thoughts coming your way next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
Your Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. I am a longtime sportscaster, a marketing consultant, and the host of the new Believe in Vegas podcast. I could do that now that I'm getting my voice back. And Chris is the owner of Silver State Cards and Sports, and he is the collectibles editor for the Hockey News. Thank you so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Of course, we are the only Golden Knights daily podcast,
which will continue into the offseason.
We will continue through the offseason, and we'll go full throttle 5 days a week coming up here until July 11th. Then we scale back a little bit to 3 days a week. Okay, coming up today, thank you, Mr. Golick, for making that point. Coming up today, of course, we'll recap the loss last night, tough one for VGK and their fans, and of course, the turning point of this series. What was it? And were the season's expectations met? We are brought to you today by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com. Of course, the action continues there. It never stops at FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. So it was a very tight game until the end last night. The first time they said in 4 years that there was a playoff game that went into overtime scoreless. It was a terrific goalie battle, truly. A good defensive battle. Not a lot of room to maneuver for either team. The winning goal comes from Kasperi Kapanen in overtime, playing in just his second playoff game in this series. And great replacement, as we said, and his game was a lot different last night. Did you notice the initial shot on the game-winning goal? Did you notice it? It came off the stick of Darnell Nurse, right? And lagging a little bit, and I'm not picking on him, Jack Eichel. He just was not in a good position defensively, like didn't really get in front of the puck defensively, and nothing against Jack Eichel, who's played his heart out. But it goes past Eichel defending, puts it on net, mad scramble, rebound. Draisaitl, I think, puts it on net as well. And then in front of a couple of bodies, Theodore and McNabb, I think, were down on the ice. Kapanen, he puts the puck in net. And the loss, it really stings VGK and his fans again, who played minus Mark Stone and Brendan Saad. VGK was more methodical, I think, in its approach in the game last night. They had some chances on Stuart Skinner. Skinner steps up. Hill steps up. Terrific battle. And for a second game in a row, the biggest issue, the Golden Knights can't score a goal. They can't score any goals. Shutout twice, back to back.
Starting, pardon me, starting with the goal. I mean, obviously, that's the key moment. There's two things that go wrong. Eichel fails to control the puck coming off the glass, coming around the boards, gets to an Oilers stick. Quick transition. Olofsson, if you go on to the NHL.com and you watch the visualizer, I feel that Olofsson might have been able to do a better job as far as the back check goes. Aiden Hill, I mean, what are you going to do right there? I think the puck got deflected by Kapanen on the way in. And then that scramble, I mean, I'm not going to hang this on him by any means.
It's not on anyone. It's just a
no, it's not. No, there's no one person to put this on, definitely. And, it's unfortunate for a couple of reasons. I believe McDavid and Draisaitl were held to a combined 12 points in 5 games. That ain't bad. That is not bad at all. Remember, McDavid himself in 6 games had 11 points in the last series. I thought the defensive structure was so, in both teams, but starting with the Golden Knights side, was so good. There was one jailbreak where two different times I believe the Oilers had 2-on-1s. On the Oilers side, there was one failed line change that led to a good 2-on-1, and it was just a commitment to victory by both teams. Neither team had many transition chances. The high dangers were only 8-9 in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. I said I wanted 13 or 14 on yesterday's show to give the Golden Knights the best chance to win. It can go on and on about all the good of that game, of course, besides scoring a goal.
Yeah, and the best chance for VGK, best chance for them to score, that pass by Eichel to Howden on the back door, and he just couldn't connect. And maybe
Puck,
it got
puck tipped across the crease. It got tipped.
Klingberg, perhaps, who got a little piece, a tiny piece.
Got a piece. Got a piece. Save the series. We'll save the game, not the series.
Yeah, he saved the game for sure, but that was a good chance. And defensively, I thought that VGK overplayed the slot defensively. They made a change, to their credit, Cassidy and company, and they played this box sort of strategy in the middle defensively, and they covered the slot. Were they too conservative in their approach in this game?
I mean, I guess that's easy to say right now, but in the same breath, you held the Edmonton Oilers scoreless in 60 minutes and held them to through the Edmonton Oilers had 4 high dangers in overtime to the Golden Knights 0. The high danger chances finished 9-8 in favor of Edmonton. So the Golden Knights actually were winning the high danger chances match, I guess you can call it 8-5 going into the overtime. Did they overplay their defense? Sure. But in the same breath, there's not a person in this universe that's going to say the Golden Knights are going to lose this game if they hold the Edmonton Oilers scoreless in regulation. You talked about the box. You talked about the inside game. I thought Vegas was brilliant there. They collapsed without allowing the perimeter to open up, as well as the easy shots from the point. And when the shots got to the point, Golden Knights and the Oilers both a phenomenal job blocking. I know it's easy to say shoot more, shoot more, shoot more, but those lazy point shots that sometimes hit a stick on the way in and deflect just were not happening. So it was, I know it's 1-0 hockey, but 1-0 hockey can be exciting. And maybe it's a little more exciting, of course, when your team is facing elimination. But that was an exciting hockey game for so many reasons. You had the physicality, but it didn't overshadow the game by any means. I thought, starting with Adin Hill, played in control. He was a little chirpy out there, but that's going to happen. He's got to protect himself. And yeah, unfortunate that the Golden Knights were able to work this out defensively with so many injuries and missing Mark Stone. This version of the Golden Knights could probably, again, we don't know what would happen, but this version of the Golden Knights, it would have pushed a 6 or a 7 game series. Whether the Golden Knights would have come out ahead or not, I don't know. But this was much better than the couple of losses that the Golden Knights had.
Net friend presence continues to be a problem. We'll get into that. We've got several weeks to talk about this and how to sort it out, right? But a stat that really stood out, Cali, as they call him there on the broadcast, a stat that stood out, VGK in that first period, 17 shot attempts, and none were from the slot. None were from the slot. A major disappearing act we could go through that forever, but a disappearing act by the top 5 scorers. They're going to have to get scoring eventually. And we're also going to find out, hopefully, last year, I do not recall them doing anything with interviews there as they cleaned out their lockers, but I might be
strange,
wrong.
but I don't remember. It was so long ago. I tried to forget about last year.
But we're going to find out about a number of injuries for sure. And again, in their defense, VGK has a point. You don't want to make that the excuse here because everyone is beaten down. But we're going to find out
a little more than the average team right now. They're pretty beat up.
Yeah, we're going to find out a lot more about Eichel's condition, health, or what have you. Pietrangelo, God Almighty, he did play well in spurts last night.
Yeah,
he had some life in those legs. Was Hill injured? They brought that up on the radio broadcast last night. I'm just curious. And again, what eventually were the injuries to Stone and to Saad? Saad missing the last 2 games of the
More than
series.
that. I
So,
think more than that. I could be wrong. I think it was more.
okay, maybe 3. But in any event, he could have been a difference maker. In any event, we're going to hear more about, again, attrition and wearing down. And I've got an interesting angle here. I think after the previous game, right, in game number 4, I think that first period took a toll on the Oilers with the way that they were hitting. They slowed down right in the second and third periods of that game. The last 3, they didn't have the spice. They didn't have the spice. They didn't go after VGK a lot. It wasn't the same tempo as far as hitting and everything else for the Oilers. Did you see perhaps a little bit of attrition on the Oilers side?
One thing I did feel watching last night's game is if the Golden Knights would have extended the series, the Oilers would have had a little more fatigue. McDavid took
Yeah.
I don't know if violence the word, but he took a real hard fall into the boards, very slow to get up. And no one really was caught it live in the moment. It was a TV timeout. And the trainer spent the entire, 2 minutes, 90 seconds, whatever it is, talking to McDavid. And McDavid was not skating as well after that. Again, McDavid not skating. McDavid at 70% is better than 95% of the NHL still, but McDavid's standards definitely got knocked down a little bit when he crashed into the boards. You saw, I think it was Nugent Hopkins took a few big hits, and the Golden Knights were punishing the Oilers, but while not compromising their defensive game. So you mentioned attrition. That's where I'm ultimately going here. I do think it would have been a little more level ground. I mean, a little bit. Again, the Golden Knights injuries weren't going to go away in 48 hours. But I think game 6 would have been interesting to see how McDavid looked, to see how Nugent Hopkins looked, to see if Evander Kane would be able to keep up his same tempo and Corey Perry in the defense and everything. So, unfortunately, it's not how it went. But I mean, it was such a good game. Like defensively, I would not. It would be tough for me to sit here and say that the season would be ending given what we saw this last game. And if this would have been the standard the Golden Knights would have had the entire series, this would have been much different. There would definitely be a game coming up on Friday and likely a game on Sunday the way it was going. And it's unfortunate it took 5 games. I do wonder if this was just a desire, backs against the wall, the veterans realizing what's in front of them, or if Cassidy maybe did make some internal changes for game number 5 as far as strategy went. We're never going to find out because it's going to be, focusing on the off season now, and there's not going to be. I mean, Cassidy did a 5.5 minute presser yesterday with not a lot of the common people even asking questions, so it was pretty in and out last night. A couple notes I did take away: Carlson season wasted. Again, he's not knocking the team, but the vibe is this was a good hockey team that did have a chance to make
It was
a run.
not a cup contender. It was. I think we both agreed on that.
I didn't think it was a cup contender coming into the season, but I
Okay.
did also hold on. I did also say that anytime a team wins a division and has a top 3 record in the NHL in the regular season, they're default in that cup contender category. Now we're going to break that down more and hit that a little harder in the third segment, I think. But it was a very good regular season team that failed to elevate in the playoffs.
Yeah, that one hit. It was. I want to say that it was Olofsson. It was 2 Oiler players, and one of them was McDavid, who got the worst of it. And
Yeah, McDavid was back checking is what happened.
back
And it
checking,
was, yeah.
And McDavid. Oh my goodness! Did you that one clip? I thought you might have asked the question
No, I didn't
about.
catch it.
So
You tagged
McDavid.
me. What was it? Fill me in. Forgive
I
me. I
did
didn't
tag
catch
you.
that.
McDavid was mad about the question about uh, the Oilers actually having a defense. I mean, and he's like, because someone asked them, the way the question was posed, someone asked McDavid if he was happy with the way the team defensively was progressing. And he was like, he was spicy AF. Yeah,
I mean, how would you not be? They just got shutouts in
127 minutes without a goal.
127 minutes and 38 seconds, whatever the math was. Whatever the math was.
Yeah, so he was definitely there, a little bit upset with that, and uh, like again, it came down to depth scoring. And that's the one area that you and I think, disagreed on. I really did.
No, I'm with you
Uh,
on the depth scoring. I think the Oilers were great, and especially once they changed things up, it was phenomenal.
yeah, and the Oilers, they did stay off of Hill, which I thought was pretty interesting. And for the most part, Aiden Hill was calm and composed
Yeah.
in that last night. Um, Comes back in that series. Hey, it wasn't his greatest series, and I
No,
think everyone will admit to that.
starting with
And
him.
yeah, the 5-hole, my goodness, I don't know what they need to do in the offseason, but that was a liability. Glove side high. Also, we saw a lot of shots coming through, but he did stand on his head there in this game. And again, some credit to him. And again, they alluded to the fact that Aiden Hill might be injured as well. We'll find out more.
If they're mentioning that on local media, there's certainly there's a little meat on that bone.
I like when Duva goes, I don't know anything about it, but
Oh, he knows.
maybe
There's meat on the bone, and again, when that's being put out there, it's being put out there. It's a plant. It's with purpose. It's with reason. If you and I are saying we think Aiden Hill is injured, have nothing on it, we're speculating. But when the team puts something like that out there, there's reason, and
there's a reason.
we're gonna find out. We'll
Yeah.
find out. It'll come out probably by McCrimmon when he's asked about the health of the team, and there's gonna be a lot of interesting stuff, and we're gonna learn more about how big of warriors these guys are, and really curious what Mark Stone played through in game number 4 that kept him off the ice in game number 5.
Yeah, he was not himself. We noticed
No.
that. Coming up next, what was the turning point of this series? We'll get to that as we return right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night my Knickerbockers had a great chance, and they blew it last night. But every night it delivers highlight quote worthy content there, and performances and major momentum shifts and all that, and can't miss moments. And whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get into the game than now at FanDuel. They make it easy to stay in the game before tip off, and also a lot of live bets. You a big live better, Golick? Do you like
Live betting is fun. There's angles definitely, but you have to commit to do it. You can't just make one live bet. You got to commit to as the lines are changing and the game's going.
And they also have now the same game parlays. Of course, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. And of course, how could you win a $200 bonus now in bets that can add the excitement? You can do that if your first $5 bet hits. So if you are new to FanDuel, it is the perfect time to sign up. Head to fanduel.com, place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you'll receive $200 in bonus bets. That's right. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick reporting from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. And please subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. Thank you so much for the playoffs and all the comments, a lot of up and backs, and great time there. We appreciate fans from both teams chiming in. So thank you very much for doing that. Sound like Elvis there. Thank you very much.
No, yeah, I'll jump in for a second here. Oiler fans and Golden Knight fans, everyone's been great throughout the series, and there's chirping that happens. Some of you guys, I'm sure there's going to be so many chirps on YouTube today, and it's fine, it's appreciated. And
It's
Oiler
my
fans,
fault.
I thought were great to interact
Well,
with.
no.
I hope they've. Huh?
It's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault.
Oiler fans were wonderful to interact with. The Golden Knight fans, I hope they had as pleasant interactions as we had with them, and nothing but love and support. And listen, I'm old school. I've always wanted my team, if my team's knocked out of the playoffs, to be eliminated by the best team. So with that in mind, I'm not against if the Oilers were to make a run, but there's a lot of good runs. There's a lot of good storylines. Of course, Pete DeBoer would be nice if he could connect the dots for a cup. I would love to see 97 win a cup. And of course, Logan Thompson and the Caps still alive. They got just as tough of a hill to climb as the Golden Knights, but it'd be nice to see Logan get there. So these are some of the things we'll, of course, keep an eye on. But again, Edmonton fans appreciate you guys. And, we'll I guess we're Chicago Cubs talking right now. E-runs. We'll see you next year.
Would you say game 2 was the turning point?
If you want to jump into the moments where it was the turning point, it's of course the Braden McNabb missed call. Again, I'm not complaining
Two
about the missed
accounts.
call.
2 accounts there, right?
Well,
So
I think that's the easy one to say, honestly. I think it's easy to say that's the moment right there. That's the moment. But for me, honestly, it's when you saw the line changes happen going in to game number 4. That's the turning point for me. That's separating McDavid and Draisaitl, getting Kapanen into the lineup, who just
oof,
played his second game of the series and winds up winning, getting the game-winning goal to put the
he was
Oilers
good.
into
He was
the
so good.
conference final. So, and who created that? Knobloch out-coached Cassidy. Full credit there to Knobloch, and that's for me. That's the turning point. A 2-0 lead can be climbed. We saw that happen against the Golden Knights.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Knobloch created the turning point with the lineup changes going into game number 4. We thought he was panicking. We all thought he was panicking, but no. And I think I'll counter one more. Draisaitl shadowing Eichel out there was another one that was just brilliant. I mean, the lights are off on the season just like they are in Tony's space right now.
Yeah, they go on and off here. We're gonna work on this here in the off season. We have plenty of time now. The Nick Waugh cross check game 2, of course, to the face of Frederick, which was one of the dumbest penalties I've ever seen.
Nick Waugh balanced, came back so well last night. He was so good last night. Nick Waugh
Yes,
was amazing last night. But yes, you're right.
he was terrific. And then, by him doing that, VGK to set the stage, right? They have to kill 5 minutes of penalty time. And even though the Oilers do not score, that was to me a big turning point because for VGK, they had to kill off a lot of time, more time on the ice for Eichel, who played way too many minutes in this series. And I'll have some thoughts about Eichel in the offseason, which I'm gonna just preface it by saying the guy's gonna have to give up some of his defense to play offense. Okay, there, figure it out some other way. And of course, and that was followed by the no call on Arvidsson on the hit on Haig, as we saw, and the can opener move and all that. And then VGK fans will definitely be complaining for years about a non-call there. They have a point. And then, of course, you know, it was just a bad sequence of events there. And for 5 minutes, you have to chase around McDavid and Draisaitl. And for Eichel, that was way too much. And for the defense, way too much stress. And of course, Howden was a major cog in the penalty kill. So he commits the bad penalty. You have an open spot there.
Wow, right?
And
You're talking about
why I said that. Yeah,
yeah.
I said
I
Howden.
got you.
Sorry. Wow.
You're good.
No, but yeah, definitely took its toll. I think that to me was the turning point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's it's fair. I mean, the on ice turning point is that moment, no doubt. So you got the on ice turning point of the major and all of that, and then my off ice coaching turning point, if you will, was of course game 4 to game 5. So it's all fair, and I mean we can go deeper and deeper and deeper into this series, but at the end of the day, Oilers are better, plain and simple. Oilers were better, and
They had more depth scoring. You and the guy with the thumb and all that nonsense.
guy with the thumb. What?
Lawless. He got ripped. He was like saying they call me the thumb in Vegas.
That's pretty funny. I never called
That
him
was the thumb and the made man. They're living fantasy land here, and they're trying to be different characters.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to knock the made men and what they've accomplished in 8 years with the Golden Knights. I mean, we're upset that the Golden Knights got eliminated by
the last 2 years. The last 2 years,
right? But what I'm saying is, Golden Knight fans are upset about being eliminated from the playoffs in the second round by what they consider to be their arch nemesis, Edmonton Oilers. I mean, the franchise has come so far in such short order, and that's something that I think at times myself and a lot of the fans do take for granted. And it's not easy. It's not easy. Like this still is not supposed to be happening. Where even 8 years in for an expansion team, this is maybe when they're starting to scratch the surface of being a good team and all of that. And how fast everything has happened, I think it's just a pinch me moment. And now the Golden Knights have lost in every round of the playoffs at least once. They've had a couple of calls, possibly, of course, the Game 7, not a major. That was a much bigger call as far as what happened between McNabb and Arvidsson. But that McNabb and Arvidsson, that's still a notable moment of the series, another possible on ice turning point. But at the end of the day, I'll say it again: the Oilers are better. Their depth was better. Their coaching was much better. Their goaltending with Stuart Skinner was better. I mean, Stuart Skinner got shelled in one game, and he wasn't bad in that game. He wasn't good, but he needed that start. He got his Lasix, he got his blinkers, and the horse came out ready to go in the 2 stakes races after running in the 6th race at Monmouth, for a $10,000 pool. So, it certainly worked out very well for the Oilers, and they're better, and the Golden Knights weren't. And again, we'll hit the third segment a little bit harder, but this was a good regular season team where the players that did well in the regular season couldn't elevate. Dorothy of Howden, I'll start there, and we'll keep on going, I'm sure.
I never bought in. I just didn't. 2 years ago when VGK,
I bought in after they beat the Jets in late November. That's the moment I bought into this team.
That's early again, and that's pre-American Thanksgiving, right?
It was right around there. It was right around there.
But
the night I went to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra concert. It was that specific night.
so what had happened, with me was great start for VGK 2 years ago. That's what I was going to say. Around the start of the first round, I said this team, and you might recall.
We're talking the Stanley Cup winning year, right?
2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I said that I felt that VGK was a team that could win it all early on. I really felt that way. And this year, I just didn't have that same buy-in. I just thought that there were too many missing pieces on this team, and we'll get into a lot of that in the offseason. And I've also wondered if VGK, if they don't get that fluky goal from Riley Smith, they could have been swept in this series.
Same breath, they could be up 3-2 right now if they win the overtime game last night and they get that Riley Smith bounce and the Arvidsson no call doesn't happen. It was a close series. There was 2 games where the Oilers were really the better team, and even game 1 where the Oilers pulled away, that was a close game until the end. It was 3 minutes left, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom. So I mean, the series could have gone either way, but I mean, I think if the Golden Knights win this series, it's more of an overachievement than it would have been. And you know what I mean? So it's a good series. Good series. I mean, it was 4-1 on paper. It looks like it was rough. I think it was a little better than a 4-1 series.
You said 4-1. You were right on that prediction.
I had 4-1. Yeah, I had 4-1.
VGK though, you had VGK. I had Edmonton in 7. I just thought it was going to be a tight series. But
in any event, Oilers had Edmonton had Vegas in 7, for crying out loud.
They did.
They were wrong. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, Nick thought of Vegas would come out and I think he might have said 6. He said 6 or 7, but Locked On Oilers predicted Vegas to win too.
Coming up next, where the season's expectations met. We'll get into that as we return right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back on Locked On Golden Knights, the season finale edition, I guess you can call it, or something like that.
We got a lot of season finale editions coming.
All right, so coming up tomorrow, it is WTF Day. It is not my fault. Again, my disclaimer that VGK lost because I picked Edmonton in the series, for crying out loud. Give me a break. Of course, on Saturday, we're doing it this Saturday, the Chris times Chris Jr. show. Is that still happening?
It's going to keep going at least this Saturday. Definitely 100,000%. He's excited. Right. Excited to do the show, not excited for why we're doing the show, but
okay. So, what was the crowd like last night?
In terms of split, or what are you asking me?
Was it split, or the fans?
No, I think it was about. I said about 80-20 in favor of Vegas. Not a lot. Not as many Oiler fans as early on, which makes sense.
Okay,
it's easier to travel for 2 games than it is for 1 from a cost perspective, and maybe 75-25. You definitely heard though whenever Skinner had a big moment, he had a few. You heard the Stu chants and everything and all that. So they traveled and they were great to have. I always enjoy the Oilers fans, and I always enjoy all the road fans coming, except the Flames fans are kind of just. But the rest of the fan base I really enjoy.
Spend a lot of money here. That's all we care about. Help the economy.
More than that, but sure, it's appreciated.
Okay, so what were the expectations for you for the Golden Knights this season?
I think we can probably align ourselves, number one, and say the expectations were a playoff team in the regular season, comfortably in the playoffs, second or third in the Pacific. maybe they kind of bide their time and McCrimmon makes some moves, and then you have a team that might be able to win a round or two. I think that was the preseason expectation. And I think the Golden Knights were right there as far as that expectation. You look at all the roster turnover, not going to get too deep into that, but a ton of roster turnover, a ton of questions, and there were some good boxes checked as far as Dorofiev's breakout, Howden's emergence, Jack Eichel as a two-way player, still on a 100-plus point pace. Mark Stone's health was better, not at the end, but his health was better. Aiden Hill, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The Golden Knights, as far as the regular season and where I thought they would be, were right down the line, and they didn't overachieve, didn't underachieve. Now, going to the playoffs, we're talking about the line shifted for me. The line shifted for me. Team wins a division, third overall. That should be a team that gets into the conference final. And unfortunately, that's where they underachieved. I think you have to get to the conference final or better when you are a division champion, and that didn't happen, unfortunately. So there's a little bit of an underachievement. But now, as we'll peel the layers back into the offseason, Howden, great regular season, not so much postseason. Howden had a much better postseason in the Stanley Cup year. Dorofeev was very good in the regular season, and besides one goal and an empty net. Although Dorofeev I put it out there. I said Dorofeev would the bet on FanDuel, my Gaulix lock, 5 shots on goal for Dorofeev, which tied for the lead with Leon Draisaitl. So I don't know how FanDuel works that out. Dorofeev was plus 650 to lead the game in shots on goal. So I don't know if they divide that in half or how that works. But either way, it's a winning bet.
It's a push. It's a push.
It could be a push. I mean, I think I pay something, whatever. But yeah, Dorofeev, ghost in the playoffs, injuries, but still a ghost in the playoffs. Defense, this is not an elite defensive core either. Not that we thought it would be.
Oof. I think that's one of the biggest shockers, I think, of this season.
Yeah, that's a topip, definitely. That's a topic.
Okay,
napkin time? Not soon, but next week, that's a topic.
The best in the Pacific Ocean, would you agree?
I'm not taking shots today. I'm not taking shots today.
Yeah, man. Geez, you're kind of soft there. But McCrimmon kept telling everyone, especially, and we'll get into this so deep, he just kept telling everyone at the trade deadline that this was a Stanley Cup team, and I did not see it. I just thought they missed some pieces.
They were a division leader at that time and top 2, I think, in points, and then they kind of faltered a little bit. But
fair, all fair. It's all fair. But again, it's another big topic when VGK comes out like gangbusters early in the season. That's where they banked a ton of points, right? And that's where, to me,
last 2 seasons,
right? It's sort of fool's gold where you're getting all these points, but I just did not see it. And then, of course, the impact of the 4 nations, that was big. That was a key turning point.
And I'm curious if that comes up in the locker.
It better come up because that was a huge impact, and that is an entire.
But the Capitals, Tony, same breath. I mean, you gotta give it both ways here. Capitals had 0 players in the 4 nations.
Exactly. That's
they are 60 minutes away from elimination too. So
right, but yeah, the first round exit last year, second round this year. Expectations are far greater here. What kind of pressure?
They shouldn't have been coming into this season. They should not have been greater coming into this season with what happened in the offseason.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what team people were buying because they lost too many really solid pieces. We'll have a lot of questions to answer, as we said. But I think, again, the expectations for me were not that high for you and Jonathan Marchessault, who said that he predicted that VGK would make it through the first couple of rounds. He thought that this team was pretty good.
I mean, he's emotional watching his buddies advance while he's in Nashville. And
no, he said that they would win 2 series.
I know, but he's emotional. He's replaying a lot of things in his head right now and all of that. And emotion. How about Alec Martinez cranking the sirens? Best option besides the Pope. Alec Martinez out there. The Pope was doing his work last night. He had 2 straps. I don't think TV caught this. He had 2 straps. He had of $5,000 and $50 bills. And every time Evander Kane was anywhere near him, he was flashing it to him and chirping him. I thought that was great. So
he was
good work. The Pope was.
The Pope was.
The Pope was chirping.
I didn't know
Evander Kane with $10,000 and $50 bills last night. It was great.
I thought, between Martinez and Flava Flav, I thought Flava Flav should have cranked the siren, man.
He did.
Keep up with it.
He
Oh, he
did in the
did.
third period.
Oh,
Alec
he did.
Martinez opened the game, and then
Who was
Flavor
number
Flav
2?
in the third period cranked the siren. Alec
You don't
Martinez
know.
was amazing, and that was
Who
fun.
was second period? You don't remember.
Second period's always like a season ticket member. Wasn't
Jeez
me.
Louise, this is not good. Okay, we're going to fix this in the offseason. I do promise. We have a lot of issues here on the set. Don't forget, tomorrow is WTF. That's What the Friday. And we take all your comments, good and bad. Of course, take a lot of shots at me. It's my fault because I picked Edmonton. I wasn't a homer. It's my fault that VGK lost. On Saturdays, the Chris and Chris Jr. show. Don't forget about that. Please subscribe. Oh, there we go. Now we're finally getting some lighting the right way.
The sun
And
probably flashed in your room.
Yeah, there we go. Don't forget, of course, to subscribe to our Lockdown Golden Knights YouTube channel. We appreciate the everydayers. If you found us here, Discovery here, just for the playoffs,
Stay with us.
Exactly. Stay with us. For my man, Chris Golick, I am Tony Cardasco. We'll see you again tomorrow for WTF Day right here on Lockdown Golden Knights. And please take care.